Shalom and blessings to you all. I cannot figure out what's happening. Welcome to this broadcast. I am unable to stream in landscape as I normally would. I don't know what's happening. So, thank you for waiting. That is what would have caused me to be delayed. But I bid you all shalom. Welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for waiting these few moments for me to speak to you as saints about this very, very, very critical word that Yahweh would have me delivered to you. If you can hear clearly and you can also see clearly, please let me know. As I said, that there's something that's going on with Facebook. I don't know if there's an update I got or notice of an update and a correction to iOS 17, so that may be the issue. I do not know. But the orientation of my screen doesn't affect that which I have to say. So welcome. Can you see and can you also hear clearly? We have a moment tonight to share this prophetic insight and apostolic revelation with you all. This is, and I'll tell you what has happened, and those of you who have an ear to hear will understand. Thank you. Thank you so much. Blessings and shalom. I received, as I told you weeks ago, I promised that I was going to, at Rosh HaShanah, I said that you will hear from me regarding that which 4 in the year 5784, what that 4 speaks to. And I gave a hint, I said, that weeks ago, some of you can recall. And then Mama James came and asked about 3 weeks ago when would this be done, or reminding me just about it, of course out of interest. But I was withheld from doing so. But the word I had already received, but for whatever reason Yahweh withheld me from releasing that to the saints, to the nation of this world, of Guyana, and nations of the world, for whatever reason, which I come to understand today. Then I didn't understand it because I felt I should have just said that which was given, so that you, especially the saints, would know that which is upon us. When he spoke to me about this, there started to be an intensification of natural disasters. I said to you at Rosh HaShanah that you will see creation, that which has been created, resisting, fighting that which should control it, or those who should control it. And that's all I was released to say to you. And the disasters started piling up one on the other. And this evening, when I send the message out, is when Yahweh said, now speak to the people, speak to the saints, speak to those who have an ear to hear, and speak to those who will hear but do not have an ear to hear. Speak to them so that they will all, as is normally the case, be unable to refute with a modicum of truth that which is uttered. Genesis chapter 1. In Genesis chapter, very familiar text, Genesis chapter 1 verse around, I don't know verses and things that are too accurately, and there's some fools who attempt to say, oh, you quoted the wrong verse. Yahweh never gave his word in chapters and verses. Men did that. I don't have to be accurate with chapters and verses. It's just to help the sense as to what I'm speaking to. So in Genesis, the first chapter, that was developed by human beings in reference to production and easy referencing. Yahweh said, let us make man, that's 26, in our image, or Elohim said that. Let us make man in our image and according to our likeness. That's documented in what you call the Bible. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the face of the earth. Genesis 1 is important. A creation account is important. It records an intended purpose for Adam to have been made. And I say Adam because Yahweh called both the male and the female. That's Genesis 5. He called both of them Adam. He never called woman Hava. And nobody was ever named Eve in creation's account. There has never been a female called Eve. The man gave the woman the name Hava, but Yahweh called them both Adam. And in stating his intended purpose of making man, he said, let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, fowl of the air, and every creeping thing that creeps on the face of the earth. That dominion over all of these things was divinely given to man. There was no creature that was created that would possess more wisdom than man. Now this is apostolic and it is prophetic. The prophecy will come after the apostolic instruction and insight is given to you. At creation, Yahweh spoke the intended purpose for man being present. In Genesis 2, there's a record of the formation of this man from the dust of the ground. And that record speaks to Yahweh forming or making a form of a man out of the dust of the ground. Then Yahweh breathed, or Elohim, I should say, breathed into man. Because another thing in Genesis 3 that you see, excuse me, the name presented to Moshe. So in Genesis 2, this account bears a record of a being formed, a mold. And then Elohim breathed into that being the breath of life, Ruach. And man became a living being, living soul. That account also accompanies something where at the end of it there was an instruction given. And the instruction given was that you could eat of every tree in this garden. Shalom and blessings to you all saints. You can eat of every tree in this garden. Any tree except one. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. That's what man was told. The garden was made for man to keep it. Man got an instruction. I submit to you that thereafter a creature called a serpent encountered a created being called woman, or Adam, Yahweh called him. She wasn't called woman yet. And or she wasn't given a name, but she was called woman by man. Sorry. And Yahweh, in his wisdom, allowed one that should have been dominated by man to engage Adam, the female form, and said, did Elohim really say that if you eat of this tree, you'll die? Did he really say that? And the being, the female form, that should have had dominion over the serpent, engaged in conversation, and that's according to our faith, with that which she was supposed to have dominion over. And the conversation included an addition to an instruction. She said that we shouldn't eat it or we shouldn't touch it. Yahweh never said that. He never said you shouldn't touch anything. He said, never said she shouldn't touch it or they shouldn't touch it. He said, in the day that you, man, you eat of it, you will surely die. The serpent went, the created being, began to engage, or the creature, I should say, began to engage this woman. Here's the problem, or before we get to the problem, or further, a greater expression of the issue. The woman engaged in an exchange with a being, watch this, that she had never encountered. It was not the serpent. She had a conversation with a being that she had never encountered. Further to that, she was unaware of who was engaging her in reference to questioning that which Yahweh said to the man. This woman, after she ate, gave it to her husband, and he also ate. Their eyes became opened. Her eyes were never opened before he ate. It was only when the man ate, the one who got the instruction, that's when their eyes became open. Their eyes were never opened before he ate. And so when their eyes became open, they recognized they were naked. And they made fig leaves and so and cover themselves. And then, of course, the voice of Yahweh, the sound of his voice was heard in the garden, of him moving, which is an echoing of one's voice. And, of course, it came to the point whereby man was told, where are you? And responded that we heard your voice and we hid ourselves. And he said, how do you know you're naked? Because you're naked. And he said, how do you know you're naked? Did you eat the tree you shouldn't eat from? And he said, the woman you give me, she's the one who made me, who did it. And then the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and he made me eat it. Then Yahweh said that there'll be enmity between you, your seed, and the seed of this woman. It was obvious that it was not a snake or a serpent. He said, on your belly you shall crawl. It was the creature was dealt with, the being, the animal that was created. But the one who was in that being, in that creature, was also dealt with. And I'm saying this because you have to have a bigger picture of what's happening here, or what happened in that situation. Shaul wrote to the church, the Roman church, the saints, the Roman Catholic Church, and he spoke to them about something happening with creation, and that creation is groaning to see the sons of Yahweh. Creation, all of creation, groans for this manifestation of who are the sons of Yahweh. First question to you tonight is, does creation know you? All of creation groans. There's a pain in creation to get to see the manifestation of the sons of Yahweh. Does creation know you? For in Yahweh's system speaks to the world or creation. That's what 4 speaks to. 4 speaks to creation. And the sons of Yahweh, those who are of of Yahweh, have got a special place in creation and a special relationship with creation. And this word is so weighty, heavy in its nature, that some of you may not likely get it in this first instant. Watch this. There is salvation that has to come to the sons of Yahweh. And that's why we have to walk the course of wrongdoing, and then we are saved. And when you are saved from wrongdoing, you're classified as a son. Watch this. He said, as many as have received Yeshua, has received him, Yahweh, to them he gave power to be sons of him. And creation is waiting to see, or groaning to see, the revealing of the sons of Yahweh. The less that creation encounters the sons of Yahweh, something happens. And that's what I'll talk to you about tonight prophetically. Thank you so much. In speaking to me about this, Yahweh made it plain. In the day he said to man, that you eat of this tree, you will surely die. Yahweh called from the ground, Elohim, because through him, through Messiah, were things made. And nothing was made without that word. So in creation, Yahweh called the trees and the herbs, the fruit-bearing trees, from the ground. In creation, at that creation cycle, he said, come out of the ground. And they came out of the ground. Saints, Yahweh said that man must have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the face of the earth. I have read Genesis so many times. I've read this account, and many of you, so many times, and it never occurred to me that which I'm about to share with you. Yahweh made a garden, or planted a garden, for man to dress it. Watch this. He said man must have dominion. Since again for a reason. Man must have dominion over the birds or the fowl of the air, over every creeping thing that creeps on the face of the earth. Are you all there? Watch this. He never gave man dominion in the conversation that he had, the Elohim had. Elohim is plural. El is singular, Elohim plural. He never said you must have dominion over the trees, as simple as it seems, and over the fruit-bearing plants. And there's a reason for it. Because he said to man that in the day that you eat of this tree right here, you will die. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil was a means of containing, in reference to, for our teaching now, containing this being while building up in that being such great natural desires that he would inevitably go and eat it. Further, because that man lacked the spirit of Yahweh, the tempter, that's the first account of temptation. The tempter showed up to the flesh of man, which he said, this is flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. The tempter showed up to the flesh of man and said to the flesh of man, tell you that? So man was not supposed to be having dominion over the trees. And you may ask me why. Man was supposed to be dressing the garden. Alright, that's somebody called me. I knew it was something very important. People kept calling. Can somebody else bring a pen for me, please? Alright. Are we back? Okay, good. Okay, you come back in. Yeah, people kept calling me. That's all right. The pen and paper. All right. Thank you. All right, so we're here. So dominion was never supposed to be given. Yahweh purposely did not give dominion, say you must have dominion over trees. Man was supposed to plant the garden. He was supposed to keep the garden. He was supposed to have dominion over creatures, fish, birds. So in any form that the tempter showed up to deal with man, man had dominion over that being, that creature. The trees, watch this, were never going to be used to tempt man. The tree wasn't going to do anything in reference to speaking to man. The tempter was not going to come through that tree to tempt man. The tree was positioned, that part of creation was positioned in the first instant so that man would inevitably in his natural state disobey. And the disobedience stemmed from the serpent, which is a creature of which man should have dominion, being possessed by the serpent, which is HaSatan, or being used by that serpent as a vessel to have conversation with the flesh form of man, who he said is the flesh. Creation is so important, saints, that it was creation, the created things, what this, that led to man's demise. Everything was created first, then man. And it was the created thing that led to man's demise. The tree and the serpent. Prophetically, I declare to you in Guyana, I declare to you in USA, I declare to you all across the Caribbean and the world. Yahweh said to tell you to pay careful attention now to the created things. For he said, I will intensify the use of the created things to destroy you. I'm talking to the church. I'm not speaking to the saints here. And I got intense and immediate release today when something happened. Because all we keep is saying, I'll tell you when to talk, I'll tell you when to talk. And then today, for the first time ever in Guyana, you heard of one tree falling and killing 3 people, 3 females instantly. Listen to me, this is not an accident. A tree, what are we talking about here? Fell today and killed 3 women. What happened at the tree? And immediately Yahweh said, no, today's the day you talk to them. Today's the day you're going to speak to them, because you now have, right here in Guyana, if you have ears to hear and you have eyes to see, you now have exactly that I'm talking to you about tonight. Right here. Creation in this time, just like then, will be the cause of your demise. You shall be destroyed by it. This country shall not just see vehicles and knives and guns killing people. Nature will begin to violate you. Because you are sitting in Guyana, you are sitting in the USA, you're sitting in countries across this world, and you are accepting the wicked agendas. Watch what he said. I said world, because number 4 means world. 4 in this here speaks to the world. It speaks to creation. You are watching the wickedness of the world unfold. Now I'm talking to the saints, and you are saying nothing about it. You are seeing the agenda of the world, and you are not saying anything about it because you are intimidated. Yahweh has said to tell you apostolically tonight, your view has to change from being local to being global. Your viewpoint. What's the next thing he said to tell you apostolically and prophetically? He said the instruction in scripture, my word to you is that you must not love the world. He never said you must be ignorant of the systems of the world. He said you mustn't love the world or the things of the world. He never said to be ignorant of the things of the world. You mustn't love it. You must be informed about it. You must be able to discern when systems of the world are being used to even trap you. Creation bore the record of man. You're not late, Mama. You're right here on time. Creation account in Genesis showed you the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and the female Adam encountered. That's it, Pastor Woods. I am telling you all, if you have got anything to do this year, is to pay attention to what creation will do. There will be record-setting things. Records will be set in just about every aspect of the climate. Records. Because the creation account bears evidence here that there was an instruction given. There was a clear instruction given to beings who, at that time, didn't possess the Spirit of Yahweh. And if you do not possess the Spirit of Yahweh, watch this, you will never be able to see the tempter. Watch this, in one you think you capable of controlling or having dominion over. You would not even be able to sense when it is HaSatan, the prince or the god of this world. You wouldn't be able to sense when it is that being who's behind what's happening to you. But saints will never be deceived, because the voices of the church, must speak. Guyana, when the heavens open and it begins to rain, there are two things that will happen to this country. One, drought will lead to significant destruction of your food products and your animals. Then two, flooding will lead to the significant destruction of your food and your animals. Your homes, in many instances, shall be under water. Your leaders will despair. They shall not be able to rescue you, because in many instances you have sat and called that which is evil good, and you call that which is good evil. If you are in the USA, if you are in certain parts of the Caribbean, I counsel you to have the means of supply, have food, plant gardens, whatever you have to do, have the means of feeding your household. If you don't have the means, saints, those of you who do, this is your time. As Agaph the prophet said, there shall be a famine. And when he said that, the emissary said, okay, let's begin to gather supplies so we can help those when the famine hit. I'm telling you that you had better begin, if you have a saint, with the means, not to just cater for your household. Do not be mean-spirited. Have the means to help other saints, because there will be shortage of food. There will be destruction of crops. There will be nature's rebellion. Creation will deal with the wicked, will deal with those who are blind and who are evil. Creation will begin to wipe out people in masses. When Yahweh told me that, and I gave you all the hint, you didn't have the flood in Libya. Remember? Some of y'all didn't remember. It was after I said to you that creation began to deal with y'all that you saw Libya, the wall in Libya broke, and it was unheard of. The simplest thing ever happened. When I said at Rosh HaShanah this will happen, the wall and thousands of people were gone. It is unheard of. Can you imagine in the dry desert-like Libya? Pastor Mel is asking, what about those saints who were warned to store up supplies but have not taken heed? They had better take heed now. You had better take heed now. Because this is an apostolic instruction, Pastor Mel. There's not everybody encouraging people to do something here. Listen to me. Further to this, and this is important for you all to note, even with you, Pastor Mel. You have to be careful about what you store in your house, watch this, as food. That's why I said to you that you must be aware. You must be aware of when it is the creature and when it is the God of this world in the creature. Be aware of what you store as food. Because what would come in some people's homes as food would be the means of destroying this. It's going to hit you because creation is waiting to see the manifestation of the sons of Elohim. And what happened is people believe that, oh, creation wants to see just the saints. But what does that text even speak to? There's saved people in the world. People have been saved even with the apostles' time when Shaul was writing that. So it's not creation is waiting to see saints. What does it speak to? Saints have been around since HaMashiach would have risen from the dead. He was offered as a sacrifice. According to our faith, he rose and he's at the right hand of the Father. Saints have been saved all the time since that happened. So what is this groaning that's happening? What are the birth pains that are happening in creation that will cause this groaning to exist? To see the manifestations of the sons of Yahweh, the revealing of the sons of Yahweh. It is not about your salvation. That is not what creation wants to see. It's not about your salvation. What is your action in the circle of creation? What space do you dominate? What do you have control over? What have you been given power over? What this? As many as have received the Spirit of Yahweh, they have been given the power to be the sons of Yahweh. On this broadcast, do not respond to any wicked fool. Don't do it. This is one night you must be disciplined to focus and hear, because I'm not removing them from the broadcast, because you must understand what I'm saying to you tonight. You must be able to discern at this moment when it is the creature created or HaSatan in the creature. Do not respond. You do not know. You have no clue about this right here, because man was also created. Man was made out of the dust of the ground. Look at this. A man called Eov. A man named Eov. And there's the next prophetic warning leaving you. A man named Eov. Not Job. His name is Eov. Or was Eov. Became the center of a divine and a satanic encounter. You know it. Where HaSatan said, listen, Yahweh said, where were you? And he said, I was going to and fro in the earth. And Yahweh said, have you considered my servant Eov? A man who's upright, a man who hates what is evil, a man who does what is actually good in reference to his conduct. And he listed the things, and HaSatan said, yeah, but he only does it because you have this hedge of protection around him. You're familiar with the text, okay? Next, Yahweh said, okay, you can touch what he has, but don't touch his being, his person. HaSatan went out and did exactly what he was told, through beings. And Eov never cursed Yahweh. He said he will curse you to your face if you take away what he has. Eov didn't curse Yahweh. HaSatan returned. And conversation again, and then HaSatan said, now listen, skin for skin. A man will give anything for his life. If you touch his body, he'll curse you. Look at this, saints. HaSatan struck Eov's body with boils, sores, pay attention. Eov's wife, saints, this is serious. This is deadly serious right here. When Eov was struck with boils, painful boils, and you take the potsherd which is flaking from the clay pot and scrape his skin, it was itching. He had a serious dermatological issue that was caused by HaSatan touching his body by Yahweh's permission. Eov's wife said to Eov, how long will you maintain your integrity? Listen to this. Why don't you curse Yahweh and die? Why don't you curse Elohim? That's what his wife said. Why do you not curse Elohim and die? How did she know what the conversation was? Eve had no clue about what the conversation was. Okay? At creation, when Yahweh told man, if you eat of this tree, you will surely die. When he told the man that, the tempter showed up and told the woman, did Elohim really tell you that if you eat of this tree, you'll die? And she responded with what Elohim never said. He never said if you touch it, you'll die. Remember that? Okay. With Eve's situation, when HaSatan and Yahweh had this encounter, the wife again, the woman again is in this conversation. And the woman says, why don't you curse Elohim and die? How did she know what the result or what Elohim and HaSatan were discussing here? And how did she know what was the whole bet, essentially, that if you touch his body, he will curse you? How did she know that cursing Yahweh was a part of this conversation? Pay careful attention. Hear me. To human counsel within the walls of your home. Hear me. If it does not mirror that which the elders of the saints teach you, do not pay attention to heeding it. Pay attention to counsel in the walls of your home. If it does not mirror that which the elders of the church speak to you about, do not take it as divine counsel. Eve's wife encouraged him to curse his God. Eve's wife encouraged him to curse his God. Because she was so troubled by his state, his physical state, that she felt that the best that could be done in reference to what he saw is you just curse him. Somebody please type this. For your sake and the sake of those who are in this broadcast. HaSatan rarely, R-A-R-E-L-Y, HaSatan rarely tempts you to disobey instructions through words of your enemies. Actually never does it. HaSatan never tempts you, I should say, not even rarely. HaSatan never tempts you to disobey instructions through words from your enemies. Just know that. HaSatan never tempts you to disobey instructions through words of your enemies. It's always somebody who's close to you, who you find confidence in, who you could feel as if you're so cool that they could tell you something that contradicts what you're instructed to do. The serpent in the garden was a familiar creature. The serpent in the garden was called subtle, smart, the smartest of all that was created, the gifted one. Saints, even further, is where Yahweh said to me, that your leaders, not church here, leaders in reference to government, your leaders are sitting in circles and they are being compelled by the spirit of the anti-Messiah to do that which is destructive, that which will be exposed on the world stage. He said that you will be shocked in some instances if you haven't heard this. You will be stunned to know what your leaders are doing on the world stage. In this year, Denise, and not just 354 days of the year, the intensification begins this year. The world, creation speaks to, number 4 speaks to the world, it speaks to creation. You will have global news, global events, global revelations of things about leaders, governmental leaders, that you would be shocked at what they were prepared to do. There are leaders as I speak to you now who are fully prepared to watch people who they lead perish by the hundreds and the thousands. They are fully prepared to watch you die. Creation will rebel. Creation will revolt. Creation, the earth, the world, the earth as you know it, will begin to intensify its revolt. I consistently hear about whistleblowers. And if you're familiar with the global events, you know what I'm talking about. I hear this all the time. Whistleblowers, whistleblowers. Listen to me, saints. You will have people, or there will be people, who would step out of, in very abnormal situations, step out of certain circles and expose leaders of your nations. This is where it becomes critical. What is the expected response of the saints? What is the expected response from the church of Yeshua HaMashiach? What this? The wicked, said Yahweh, the wicked, I'm talking to the Jesus church, these wicked people will tell you, listen to these terminologies, prophecy has to be fulfilled. Are you hearing me? When the disaster strikes, the wicked will say to you, casually, yeah, prophecy has to be fulfilled. And you don't recognize what I'm saying. They despise prophecy. Though they call themselves prophets, though they label themselves being prophetic, they despise prophecy. Watch this. Because prophecy has been shut off from them. Saints, listen to me. Listen to the Spirit of Yahweh. Prophecy has been shut off from them. What does that mean? Does it mean that they would no longer prophesy? They will. But they will never know the mind of Yahweh. They will never know the mind of Yahweh. So prophecy in reference to what he gives is shut off from them. You are in the year where nature, what you call nature, will raise itself against you. Nature, wind will destroy you. temperature, both extremes, will destroy them. Water will destroy them. Fire will destroy them. The earth will open up itself and consume them. When the sons of Korah spoke against Moshe, Yahweh told Moshe, draw a line right here and tell the people of Israel, whoever is for me, come on this side. Leave the sons of Korah on that side. And 200 plus, I think 253 of them, were swallowed up by the earth that Yahweh caused to open and consume them, devour them. Nature. There is a record where Herod gives such a beautiful speech that the people said, this must be God. This can't be a man who spoke about that like this. And the people praised Herod, but he refused to give glory to Yahweh. Worms began to devour him. Even microbes, even microscopic organisms will devour. Pay attention to announcements of outbreaks here and outbreaks there, and microscopic things, viruses and bacteria, fungi that are destroying people. Nature creation is enraged. Do not be alarmed if you are hearing in Guyana of people dying from heat exhaustion. Do not be alarmed if you hear of people falling down and perishing from heat exhaustion. Nature will respond. Nature has begun to intensify itself. Saints, I take you back to creation as I bid you shalom, the account of it. Yahweh said, or Elohim said, let us make man in our image and according to our likeness. That's what he said. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the face of the ground. That's what he said. that instruction or that declaration was a statement made that caused many churches, many preachers to misrepresent the nature of Yahweh. The nature of Yahweh, the nature of His Son Yeshua HaMashiach, is never to be surprised by creation's actions and by created beings' actions. Yahweh knows the end of a thing, and He speaks the end of a thing from the beginning of it. The lessons are for us to see that we have got a position as the Spirit-filled sons to see creation, to see created things for what they really are. We have got the Spirit in us to discern the activities in created beings, including human beings. We have got within us the power to discern in creation that which is of Yahweh and that which HaSatan is using. I come back to Guyana. Yahweh's Spirit has told me to say to all of you that this, and not all of them, He said they are key figures in this present PPP administration who are the most evil people in the land of Guyana. Hear me. They are prepared even in the midst of this intense heat wave to watch children suffer immensely, where they are well aware of the concrete buildings, the furnaces called schools. They are aware of how dangerous it is to the well-being of little children, and they are prepared to watch them die if they have to. For that cause, this nation will have, this nation will have, this nation will see creation responding to you. Why? Because your people in this nation are prepared to cower, to be afraid, to rebel against the wicked. This nation has got the posture of being the wealthiest in reference to the number of heads you have and how much wealth you have per head. Your wicked leaders are prepared to watch you and your children suffer, although that reality exists. That is not what heaven is solely enraged about. It is about the silence and the fear, even in saints in this nation. You will see, you shall behold in this nation. Responses in reference to global responses, world responses that you've never seen in the history of Guyana. Because Yahweh has said to tell you that there are those without, there are those beyond your borders, Guyana, who do not fear these wicked men, but whom they fear more than you can even imagine. There are those beyond the borders of Guyana who are prepared to kill these wicked men. The wicked leaders in this country are terrified of those beyond the borders of Guyana, because they are well aware of the intention they are not Guyanese. They are not led by the fear of these criminals. You will see in this country what you have never seen. I warned you about this time and again, that this administration is inviting within our borders, unbeknownst to them, some who are potential assassins. You don't know what they are. You don't know what they are capable of doing. They do not fear anyone in this country. The Spirit of Yahweh hates an unjust scale of any form. I instruct you at the helm of the PPP to do that which is just. I never said righteous, because you can never do what is righteous. You cannot act righteously. You can act justly. Do that which is just by the people. You cannot do what is righteous. No one who has the Spirit of Yahweh will ever instruct you to what is righteous, because you cannot do it. You can do that which is just. And the only thing that will spare you is if you act justly. Do that which is just. He said that you do not need my Spirit to be just. Every ruler is equipped with the ability to do justice. The wickedness in a ruler is not about whether you do what is righteous. It's how you dispense justice. How do you act in reference to what is just and what is fair? Do that which is just. There are those beyond your borders whom you dread. You fear them more than you fear anyone in this country. For thus says the Spirit of Yahweh, there is no one within the borders of this nation who can rescue you from the wrath of those on the outside. No one. There is no soul, there is no being, there is no creature, there is no God who can rescue you when Yahweh decides, or should he decide, to release them against you. No one. There are those who you think you have confidence in, who will wait until calamity strikes you to the degree that it affects their interests before they come to, not to you, to protect what's theirs. There is no one in this entire nation called Guyana who would rescue you. None. Do what is just. Four speaks to the world. Four speaks to creation. Food on the world stage, food in the world market is no longer going to be food as you know it. Be careful about what you stock in your house as food. May the grace of Yahweh, may the grace of Yahweh continue to abide with the saints. Do not miss the significance of global events. Do not miss it. Do not miss the significance of global events. Do not be lazy. Do not be uncaring about being informed about global events. May the grace of Yahweh abide with you, saints. May the boldness of Yahweh be upon you. Thank you so much, Daddy. I am so grateful. My father would have written, this is a very serious discourse, son. We're living in very trying times. We, the saints, would do well to listen to and heed the admonitions of the apostles. We thank Yahweh for speaking to us through his servants. Hallelujah. Indeed, Yahweh is so gracious and he is so merciful. His ways are beyond finding out. Why my father spoke, I don't know why, but I know why. If you are living in the USA, in anywhere where where you experience snow, even some places where you don't experience snow, as unusual as it seems, do not rely on heaters. Begin to, if you have a chimney, if you have a fireplace that can utilize natural wood, get it. Do not rely on the power companies and the gas suppliers to rescue you. if you have any means of having natural wood, even if you have to store it in the garage for now, and you have to warm your family up on the outside of your house, should the need arise, do it. It is serious. It is serious, saints. The days that lie ahead for this world are deadly serious. If you only have heaters, like I said, have wood available, because you can warm yourself up on the outside if you have to. At least you have some place to be warm, as opposed to having nowhere to be warm whatsoever. It is deadly serious. There are warnings all across the USA. There are warnings in many parts of Europe. The world leaders know what I'm telling you about. Food shortage is inevitable. Some of you may not know, I don't know, for whatever reason he has me here with you all. Since you don't know this, but there is, I think, somewhere in Europe where they are storing seeds of nature. And multiple nations of the world have agreed that they would not ever bomb that storage facility. They would fight everywhere else, but they would never bomb that place that stores seeds of nature. But they don't give you fruits and produce fruits and food from those seeds. The generic foods they give to you. But the world leaders are contributing from just about every country to storing seeds in that seed bank. Why? Because the food shortage is inevitable. And only the extremely wealthy and powerful will eat, as they should. Be careful. Be mindful. Do well. I love you all. Should he speak further? When I'm released, I shall speak to you. That's it, Pastor Mel, the Global Seed Vault. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault. A company has copyrights and seeds. That's it, Pastor Zechariah. I love you all, saints. Do well. Do well. Do not be deceived by creatures of creation. Do not be deceived by creatures of creation. By created beings. Do not be deceived by created beings with whom you're familiar. Do well.